Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Tempe Housing Authority meeting. We'll call the meeting to order as item number one. Item number two, the Housing Authority Board welcomes public comment at this time only for items listed on this agenda. There is a 3-minute time limit per speaker. Madam Clerk, do you have any cards this evening for us?
No cards for this meeting.
Okay, sounds good. That means I'll move on to item 3, approval of City of Tempe Housing Authority meeting minutes. Item 3A is from November 30th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Okay, I think it's been moved. I'm going to go, it's been moved by Board Member Navarro and seconded by Board Member Adams.
Okay.
You switch over to the computer. You all were quick on the draw.
I'm an aye.
Okay, listen, I'll just do it by voice vote. Councilmember Chin? Aye. Or should I, Board Member Garland?
Aye.
Board Member Navarro?
Aye.
Board Member Adams?
Aye.
Board Member Keating?
Yes.
Board Member Hodge?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. So that item passes 7-0 with Board Member Drummond absent. Next up, item number 4, Housing Authority Governing Board updates for the quarter ended December 31st, 2023. Irma, do you have an update this evening, or?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I was just curious. Sometimes, I just want to ask.
Thank you.
And everyone, of course, Irma Hollenby-Kane, Deputy Community Health and Human Services Director. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Woods, council members. I am here to give you an update as to what housing's been up to the last couple of months. Last I was up here was in November. And then I will talk a teeny bit about the Tempe Coalition for Affordable Housing. So programs administered by the Tempe Housing Authority are HUD-oriented housing subsidy programs. They're highly regulatory, high compliance programming. The income limitation for the folks that are in our program is 50% of area median income. So for a family of 4, that's a little bit under $47,000 a year. So a family is issued a housing voucher and they're responsible for finding a suitable unit out in the Tempe jurisdiction. A private owner agrees to rent to them, and before the person with the voucher is allowed to move in, the unit is inspected as per housing quality standards that are set by HUD. And when the unit passes inspection, the person can move in. Then the housing subsidy flows directly from us to the private market landlord. And then the voucher recipient also pays their portion of the rent. So last calendar year, we administered over $13 million in housing subsidies paid directly to private market landlords. And it includes these housing types that are on your screen. We have 5 different types of housing vouchers. This does not include a tenant-based rental assistance program that we also offer through our home investment partnership funding. So and I should mention, all voucher recipients, they may participate in a voluntary family self-sufficiency program. So this is a terrific resource to our HUD-assisted families, where essentially we couple them up with a career coach, a life coach who helps them establish their 5-year plan, and then walks alongside of them through that 5 years to help them realize their economic goals. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So the data over the next couple of slides is specific to the Housing Authority's performance and its actual data as of October of 2023. So as you know, HUD contracts with us with a budget amount called Budget Authority and also a voucher allocation, and we track our performance in both areas. If I may turn your attention to the bottom of the slide, the Tempe Housing Authority now has an annual budget. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm kind of on the wrong one. Has an annual budget authority of approximately $15 million. As of October of 23, HUD had allocated $10.83 million in budget authority, and then we were also awarded an additional $1.8 million in HUD set-aside funding to allow us to get our number of vouchers leased up in the market up. So if I may turn your attention to the bottom right teal line in the graph, you can see at the end of the year what looks like a huge dip in our spending. What is really going on, and this is a good problem to have, is that with this additional $1.8 million, it appears that we're underspending, but rest assured, we will be spending this money and helping and maximizing the amount of families that we can with this money. If the $1.8 million were not awarded, I would actually be up here saying to you, I've been overspent by 101%. So then finally at the bottom left of the slide, $998,000. This is how much that we have in our reserve, so unspent funds from previous years. And as for voucher allocation performance, we currently have 1,119 vouchers under contract with HUD, 994 are leased up, and that is a leasing rate of 83.55%. When I was last before you, this is an increase of 28 families that are on the program. Let's see here. So the graph on the top of this particular slide shows how we compare nationally in our leasing. We're going to take a closer look at this graph later on, but taking your attention to the top right of the slide, during this reporting cycle, we have 994 vouchers leased up. Our attrition rate is below 10%. Over the last 12 months, and we have 15 families out of the 994 who have elected to move elsewhere with a Tempe voucher, which, by the way, that's pretty low, and this is meaning to say when people receive a Tempe voucher, they stay with us. The bottom left of the slide is a visual representation of the number of vouchers that are on the street, and what I mean by this is the number of vouchers that we have issued to a family or individual, and they're actually out in the market looking for a unit. Throughout the year, we've have typically about 100 or so folks out looking, but we've had up to 200 families and individuals looking for units.
Quick thing, Irma, I got a couple of questions up here to Board Member Garland and Board Member Hodge.
Yes.
I have a quick question. So when the person who has a Tempe voucher leaves Tempe, does the voucher then come back to Tempe and then they get a voucher for wherever they're at? I'm just wondering, does our number then go down or does it remain the same?
Thank you, Councilmember Garland. The answer is it depends. So there are two scenarios here. One is somebody moves with a Tempe voucher to another jurisdiction, and then that jurisdiction elects to administer our voucher in their program. And then we exchange invoices with one another, and essentially we pay them to help a Tempe vouchered family live in their jurisdiction. The other scenario is exactly what you're speaking of, where a vouchered family moves to another jurisdiction, that jurisdiction absorbs them into their housing program, thus loosening up the voucher for us to release up in our community.
It just depends.
Depends. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Board Member Hodge?
Okay, I got a question to follow up to her. Gosh, all right, that's better. I got a question to follow up to Board Member Garland. So which one usually happens more? Do we have more of a chance of them, we getting it back, or does they usually keep it and we have to exchange invoices? Because I'm curious on that one.
Thank you, Councilmember Hodge. The answer is it depends. It depends on the availability of vouchers at the jurisdiction they're moving to. So, for example, if they're moving to a jurisdiction that is already almost completely leased up, they may elect to just administer our voucher on our behalf. They might not have capacity to absorb them into their own programming.
So I guess I answer my own question. Since most of them have been filled for so long, then usually we go with the ideal that they continue with our voucher in our city. Okay, that makes sense. And my second question, I guess is a little bit off topic, but I just want to know about Habitat of Humanity, because that is a part of our, of Tempe too, and we do give, the land, we do a price range on that. How does that fit in? Because I know we talk about renting vouchers, but Habitat kind of fits into this piece a little bit, but it's just ownership. So I'm just trying to figure out, it doesn't have to be right this minute, but I would like to know our percentages of how much we do with Habitat, because I know I was just at one of the Habitat's opening and they did a house. So I'm curious to know how much of that is being used in our city and how much we have left to give to that program, because that's another ownership that is really good, and we don't talk about that. And it's a lot over in our northern area that we're not even talking about.
Councilmember Hodge, thank you for that. I do not have this information available to me right now, but I'm happy to follow up. Thank you. Thank you. May I?
Yes.
And then finally, the graph on the bottom right of the slide shows the consistent increase in Tempe's average cost per unit. And this is the average cost per, right now, it's currently at $1,261.94. When I was last before you, it was $1,200. So just since November, it's gone up another $62. So here, let's take a closer look at the leasing graph from the previous line. The graph here shows our leasing performance and how we compare nationally. National is the black line, and our performance is in teal. And also what I've highlighted here is around the time I started showing up in front of you and presenting. So as you can see, just visually, we are exceeding national averages in leasing, which is great for us. I landed in Tempe in June of 22. At that particular time, I was reporting a 78% leasing rate. At the time, we had some compliance issues to address and accounts to reconcile. And as you can see from the period of about July to December, our leasing was in decline, and I reported as low as 74%. However, since January of 2023, the Tempe Housing Authority, we've updated our payment standards twice. We've rewritten our entire administrative plan. We've reimagined many of our outdated processes, improved our technology support. We refocused our effort and priority of housing navigation. We've included new expertise on staff, landlord engagement. We've removed one of the biggest barriers to obtaining housing for our housing participants, and that is we pay security deposits on their behalf. So with all of that said, I'm very proud to share with you that these many accomplishments lend themselves to an increase in our leasing rate. And knock on wood, it will continue to rise. So let's take a little bit deeper on the cost per unit. I know the font is a little bit small, but if I may turn your attention to the right side of the slide, the average cost per unit back in 2017, we were paying $787 per month per unit, and now we're paying on average over $1,200. So we're paying nearly double what we were in 2017, hence why we're burning through our budget authority, but our leasing isn't at the same level. And that $1.8 million is really going to help us get there.
Quick thing, Board Member Hodge?
So what can we do with this, with HUD? Is there anything that on the city level, our colleagues, our council member colleagues, what can they help with to help, because I know there's funding out there. So what can we do to help? Well, they can, because I'm a board member right now.
Thank you, Councilmember Hodge. Right now, I say money-wise, I know this is going to sound really strange, but we're good.
All right, this presentation is over. Thank you so much, Irma. No, good.
Yeah.
But this is for Tempe Housing Authority housing subsidy programming. That's not about the other stuff I talked to you about.
Okay.
Anywho, just saying. This slide compares Tempe's performance with the average performance of all housing authorities in Arizona. Tempe's on the left and Arizona is on the right. If I may turn your attention to the green highlight, our attrition rate is a little below 10%. While the balance of state is closer to 12. And if I may turn your attention to the blue highlight, you'll see our leasing performance compared to the rest of the state. Ideally, all of us housing authorities would be around 95, 98%. As you know, we're improving hours. I'm hoping when I'm reporting to you the end of the calendar year, this number is going to be closer to 90% is where we project that we're going to land. So that's a tremendous increase from the 76% I was just talking to you about. And then finally, just some additional news. Again, as I mentioned, we applied to HUD for additional funds to ramp up our low leasing. We were awarded $1.8 million, and we have a plan to spend it. As far as family self-sufficiency, we currently have 46 participants in this program, 35 of whom are earning escrow, totaling about $165,000, which is fantastic. We have a graduation ceremony coming up tomorrow, and I understand I might have some of you join me to honor 16 graduates of this program. So thank you in advance for agreeing to that. Susan Spacio, as you know, we transitioned operations and case management responsibilities to a third party called Mercy House Living Centers. And now I am happy to announce to you that the shelter is available for double occupancy should we need to activate it. And then finally, I don't know if you had a chance to join 300 others at the Envision Center on Saturday, but we had an open house. We hope to open our doors in the spring and offer essentially a number of human service programming to be available to low to moderate income Tempeans. And then finally, on behalf of the Tempe Coalition for Affordable Housing, I did provide you our recent January board packet, and included in that are our financial and portfolio performance. If you have any questions about what you read in that report, I'm happy to answer them. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Let me go to Board Member Adams and Board Member Garland.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. And since you come into your role, you have completely changed the program for the better, you and your team. So I really appreciate that. And I mean, you've done so much with helping house folks in our community, and and the proof is in your stats. You know, it's. I think sometimes people think, oh, we're not doing enough. We're doing a lot, and in fact, I would say that we're doing some of the best work in the country. So I'm just really proud of this report that you gave tonight, and I would encourage you to continue to come up and give us reports every couple months, so not only us but our residents understand what we are doing specifically, and the proof is in the pudding. So I really just appreciate you and what you've done. I remember when before you were here, but we went through a lot of rough patches, but you really steered the ship in the right direction. So congratulations, and please pass this on to your team also about the great job you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Garland and Board Member Hodge.
Just two things. I had the opportunity to meet the Mercy House people, two of the gentlemen. Awesome, incredible. What they're doing down there at Susan Spacio was absolutely amazing. I still think, yeah, the color is of the building, but that's not my choice to make. But they were really wonderful. I was so impressed with what they're doing down there. And I will have to say, same along with Board Member Adams, I think having you at the city and Tim Birch here have made such an incredible difference for the people who are most vulnerable in our community. And I'm so glad both of you are here. But the report you gave was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Hodge and Board Member Navarro.
You know how I feel about you. You are probably one of my favorite people in the whole city. Don't say that. I love all of you guys.
It's like a love fest up here
I
tonight.
love you guys, but you know,
you gonna
I'm gonna say
you gonna
I
follow
wanted to
that,
put that out there.
Navarro?
I do love all of you guys, but it's just a part. You have it's dear and near to my heart for what happens with the city. Because like I said, coming from where I came from to where I'm at today, I wish you were there to be a part of my journey, but I know that you're going to enjoy everybody else. I wanted to tell you in person that I went to tour some of the apartment complexes around that do Section 8, and I met several of our Section 8 people, and they gave me some really good output on how well that their caseworkers work with them, how they're trying to get them into financial stability, and not just on the housing part, that they work with them to try to get them, make sure they're doing savings bonds and savings accounts. So it's just, I wanted to give a testament to what I've learned, how well this, not just housing them, but literally trying to make them financially secure for the future. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Board Member Navarro and then Board Member Keating.
Thank you, Mayor. And Irma, you're number one to me too. Here's your number, but I'll show you after. Got a great smile. No, thank you. I guess I was just going to say, and kind of with Councilmember Adams, we sit here and we do so many things towards housing, and we try to do programs, just like Councilmember Hodge said, that have more depth than people know. And it's always surprising the critics never come down and listen to the information, but only on certain days when they choose to use against anybody else. But I just want to say thank you for providing the service, keeping it, going throughout the city. I know that this is always an ongoing thing, and for the council and stuff. But at the end of the day, it gets frustrating when you can't have the people here to really absorb it and really understand what's happening. So I appreciate you reporting on this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Board Member Keating?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, very well said, Councilmember Navarro. I'm not sure if they heard it, they'd accept it, though. But clearly, I mean, you're like my 5th favorite staff member. I'm going to be honest with you. So, I mean,
Mayor, where do I rank?
I was going to ask Board Member Chin.
Obviously, by the numbers that the presentation you've given us, and we can see the upward trajectories that we're having in the city as far as getting folks into secure housing and providing the services that they need. So to Councilmember Navarro's point and others' point that it also made it, the city is doing great work in this regard. And Tempe is a very compassionate city, and I'm very proud of our city just by looking at the data showing that we're kind of putting our money where our mouth is. And that's thanks to you and your team and everyone that played a part in it. So we are very appreciative of that. One thing I would be interested in seeing, you won't have it now because we just did it, but I'd be interested in seeing what those numbers look like now that we have the source of income discrimination ordinance in place. I think it'd be interesting to compare, 6 months, a year down the road, just to see if there's any movement there as far as getting people into vulnerable individuals into more secure housing. But great presentation, great work, very proud of the city, and I hope you're proud of your work. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful. And Irma, come on, I mean, housing is my number one. You know how I feel about you. Come on. Come on, you know. I've hung out at food trucks with you. Come on.
Thank you.
We'll definitely pass this along to the council members. I think they'll be happy to hear it too.
Yeah, they'll be very happy.
They'll be
Absolutely.
extremely happy.
Irma, seriously, though, thank you very much. Great report. And I just, seconding everyone else's comments, I think the city of Tempe is really doing exceptional work in the area of housing, whether it's related to unsheltered or transitional housing, affordable workforce, and it's only getting better and better. And so thank you for your leadership, and thank you, Tim Birch, for all that you're doing. We are doing a great job collectively, so thank you again.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right.
Oh, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Resident member Jack Drummond has his hand up and
Oh.
he's on virtually.
Yes, Board Member Drummond.
I just wanted to thank Irma. Reading through the agenda, I saw that you doubled the amount of vouchers for veterans. You went from 20 to 40 in one swoop. I was really impressed by that. I hope we can continue.
Awesome. Thank you, Board Member Drummond. Appreciate it. Okay, with that item was only for an update. No action was required, which takes us to item number 5, which is adjournment. The next Tempe Housing Authority meeting is scheduled for April 25th, 2024. And with that, we are adjourned. Have a good evening.